Well, the collaboration to bring Mother to life started when I was taken by a young actress I was mentoring to a production of The Crucible, directed by Matt Sholton, which was done as an indie production, and this young girl who was also called Noni was in it, and it was the most beautiful production I've ever seen, and I just wanted to meet Matt and find out, what his way of working was, because I've always found it really difficult to work with people who are more interested in showing me their ego and their importance than just bringing a beautiful work to life. And so what followed from that meeting was a number of years where we talked about the arts, what the arts meant to us, the writers that we loved, the kind of work we wanted to do. And Matt was and is Daniel Keene's most favoured director. Daniel loves the way Matt approaches his work, all of Matt's work as well as Daniel's work, and so I'd always been an admirer of Daniel's as well, and we just got together, and Matt and I worked on an MTC production together, which was actually the first time we'd worked together, and we realised that it didn't destroy our friendship, that we could actually work together and flourish and create an atmosphere that was pleasant but also highly conducive to being open and safe and communicating things that we thought were important about the human condition, and that's why we wanted to be part of the arts. To act as unifiers, not dividers, because there's enough of that. And to make people understand about each other and to stop judging each other. And we talked to Daniel. Matt said, what would you do if you could have your druthers, if you could do anything you wanted? And I said, well, I'd love to do a one-woman show. I've never done that. So we thought, let's approach Daniel. And we talked to Daniel over coffee at the new Sumner Theatre coffee shop. And we had about an hour-long meeting. We talked about our mutual love of Dorothy Hewitt, and my work with Dorothy went back a ways. I'd done the first production of The Man from Muckanuppin for the Perth Sesquicentenary, where Dorothy was asked to come in from the cold because she'd been banned from WA as a commie sympathiser and generally a loose woman. And she was commissioned to do this wonderful, wonderful play about the dark side and the light side of the public and private face of everybody, set in WA. So that was about 1979, and I was lucky enough to meet her and get to know her, and then I read Bobbin' Up, her novel, for the ABC, and just became a total fan of her work. And we talked about that, and we said, okay, well let's get something together and we'll apply for some grants and we'll do some work on a piece. And Daniel just went away and wrote this play and came back a couple of weeks later and said, here it is, and we just both loved it to pieces. And so I hope that Mother is thought-provoking. I hope that people get up and go, whoa, I need to rethink, or I might approach someone in my life that I've always thought was a piece of poo. I might approach them a bit differently next time. It might just make you feel a bit more for your fellow human beings, a bit more empathetic, and understand too the mask you put up to shield your pain. Because that's incredibly isolating. And it seems to me that we need works like this. That's what the arts can do at their best, and that's what this is to me, is to make us lower the mask and just say, I'm here in all my complexity. I'm not just an actress, I'm not just a housewife, I'm not a politician, I'm just a person with all my strengths and weaknesses, and Daniel gets that, and Matt gets that, and I get that, and I want everyone to get that. I'm really excited that this is going to be a regional tour, because to me that's where the real people are. In cities you get the same group of people coming to the theatres a lot of the time, and they're from a particular group in society. They go to the theatre because they like going to the theatre and it's something they do, by subscription or whatever. But if you can shake them out of their boots enough to say more than that was good where we go for coffee, it's quite difficult sometimes. And I know that, once there's a school of arts in every country town, once before electronic entertainment, people went to the live theatre, and my maternal grandmother toured Australia in 1906, going all around the regions from England, and it was vibrant. And I think a lot of times there's so much fear and discomfort in country towns about the fact that young people seem so disengaged, and unemployment is high, and the arts to me can provide something where local people can come together and share an experience that is uplifting and inspirational, it's safe, it's contained, it's finite, but it might give comfort, it might give a sense of community, a validation. And as I said, you meet real people in the country. You know, they might hang back for a minute, but the minute they know you're not a wanker, they'll step forward and embrace you as another human being. They're much less masked than city people, and I really love that. I've lived in the country a lot over the last 40 years, and that's pretty much the main reason why. And I love this country, and it's a wonderful opportunity to see places I've never been to before, to work in some wonderful theatres, and to take the work of a great artist like Daniel Keene to an audience that might not know, and Dorothy Hewitt, you know, to people that might not know that work and that might inspire them to go and find other great Australian writers and more of the works of these people. So it's a spreading out of the sort of limited perception that we often have of the arts, that they're city-based and official and, you know, take it back to the people, really. The character of Mother, she's a woman who has never been able to speak. And I think that's true of a lot of women, starting to change. But women, particularly women in her circumstances, have never had the ears of anyone who matters. They've been dismissed as being irrelevant, unimportant, and a lot of the things that have gone wrong for her would be classed in her time as women's issues and therefore not important or interesting. But in unmasking this character, there's a well of humour, and there's a well of disgust, and there's a well of vitriol, and there's a well of grief, a bit like everyone really. But I particularly relate to it because it's to do with her child and her circumstances and her mother and her father, and how we're all affected by our environments. If you saw Mother in the street, you'd probably cross the road. So my job as an actor is to take someone who appears to be unsympathetic and not worth bothering with, and showing you that she's not that far removed from you, really, if you drop the masks. Matt Sholton is one of the few directors that I've worked with who doesn't intimidate you, who doesn't make you feel like it's all about kowtowing to him, as if I would. We share a similar view of the arts, that really they're a way of life, not a lifestyle, that a life lived without the arts, without exposure to the arts, without enjoyment of and appreciation of the arts is half a life. And I think we're very dedicated as a team, and we see ourselves as a collaborative team, to try to counterbalance some of the negativity in the world today and some of the warmongering and the fear-mongering and, you know, the separation. And to us, that is the power of art, that it can make us reach through those barriers, those false barriers set up by society that say, you know, you have to be rich and famous or beautiful or whatever to matter. And Matt, I think, gives an atmosphere. He understands from an audience's point of view that you can put your foot in, just put your foot in, and then we want you to dive in and have a swim, immerse yourself in the beauty of it. So we're both very, very committed to taking you on a journey and to honouring great writers who write to serve humanity. And if artists aren't there and directors aren't there to serve humanity, I don't know what we're there for. This play is, to me, like any life. It's got laugh-out-loud, gut-busting humour. It's got wry observation. It's got a sense of where she's come from. It's got nihilism. It's got humanity. But, I mean, I would hate to do something that was just one-dimensional, that was just a deep tragedy or a laugh-out-loud silly farce. To me, life is all those things. So I'm very much interested in not reducing events or plays, not putting them in a little box and saying, oh, it's this or it's that. It's going to be different for you and you and you. Everyone's going to react to it differently. Everyone's going to find humour or grief. Some people might not like it. Some people might find it the funniest thing they've ever seen. Some people might find it the saddest thing. You can't, and a critic might like, one critic will like it, one won't. We all know that. So to try and say, put something into a formula and say, oh, it's this, to me just reduces the possibility of more people feasting on this banquet that Daniel's written, this banquet of all the complexities of life. And there are lots of funny things in there, and I know that we'll find some in performance as we hear audience reactions. I love that. I love hearing gasps and laughs and tears. If I can promote and provoke an emotive response, whether it's hysterical laughter or disgust or whatever it is, job done. Hello, I'm Noni Hazlehurst, and I'm so looking forward to coming to a theatre near you to present a most beautiful new Australian play by Daniel Keene, directed by a most beautiful Australian director, Matt Sholton, who's also the artistic director at BPAC in Benalla. And it's a one-woman show, so there'll be not a lot of distraction. They'll have to concentrate. It's a wonderful play, and I'm so looking forward to seeing people in all parts of Australia taking it to the people. And I hope you'll come and see it, and I hope we can have a chat and get together. That's what theatre should be.